Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Amar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Brian Waild, the founder and CEO of Start With the Answer, a consulting firm built to help high growth founders solve operational challenges and scale with clarity. After nearly a decade at Amazon leading global initiatives, Brian now partners with early and growth stage teams to build better systems, stronger leaders, and scalable businesses. Brian, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Amar, for having me.
Anytime. I'm excited to dive in. I
Absolutely.
always like to travel back in time. So take me on a little trip down memory lane to before you started Start With the Answer.
Yeah.
What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Yeah. So in the last 10 years or so, I worked for a private equity portfolio company, and we were basically growing that business towards an exit. And I had made a promise to myself back when I was around 30 that by the time I was 55 years old, that I would be either A, retired or would be working for myself. I turned 55 in August, so just around the corner. So I started the business back in January. I exited the PE firm and portfolio company at the end of last year, and that's where we're going. But my passion really is in process improvement, and that's what I've been able to do for the last 30 years. So
Mm,
I've been working towards growing the valuation of businesses and really have a passion for that.
yeah. What made you want to start your own thing?
Well, again, I wanted to branch out. I've been building wealth for others for a long time, 30 plus years. And that's really been my focus is to helping the ownership, whether it's either a private owner or PE firm, for 10 years, I worked at a publicly traded firm. It was
Mm,
really about creating and expanding value because at the end of the day, that's what the owners, that's why we're in business. We
yeah,
want to grow our business and increase the valuation. And then, should we have the opportunity to exit, we can do that with a favorable multiple. And that's really the crux of what I try to do. But we are a full service consulting firm. We can handle many things, but valuation and value creation is really the focus and increasing profitability for my clients.
powerful. Okay, let's dive into Start With the Answer and currently what your main focus is. Who would you say
Yeah,
is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, we can dive into the different offers and services.
absolutely. Primarily private ownership, but also PE firms are my focus, primarily because of the size, 2 to 50 million, a little bit bigger than what you would get in on a very small, but a small business, $2 million up to middle market, about 50 million in sales. That's really the sweet spot. And again, the reason what I found in my experience is that a lot of the businesses in those size, there's an owner or a small group of folks that are doing it. They have strengths. A lot of times, especially when it's in an engineering or in a manufacturing field, they're strong in engineering and they're strong in the product, but not necessarily in process necessarily or even other ways to increase the valuation. They're really focused on the product. And what I bring is looking for ways to increase the throughput of the business. If you're already making 100 widgets per day, you might bring me in because you want to get to 200 widgets per day. Either you have customers that can already do that, or you have a desire to do that and you want to increase your sales, but you're limited based on what your throughput or what your number of quantity or number of pieces that you're able to get out per day.
Got it. Okay, so how do you actually drive that throughput and increase the throughput for the business? So what I mean by that is, let's say you come and start work with a company. How long does that typical engagement last in terms of how you're working together? Maybe they vary, maybe they don't. I'd love if you could expand on that. And then what's the cadence of working together, if that makes sense?
I'm somebody that likes to go see. My background is in Toyota production systems, part of it, and lean manufacturing. One of the tenets is go to the Gemba. So you got to go see what's happening on the floor. I love it. I'm an operations guy through and through. So I love to go and see the factory or see, it could be an office, it could be a doctor's office where they're trying to treat more patients. But I like to go see and talk to the folks that are actually doing the work and then evaluate that. So that's the diagnostic phase. That usually takes about a week. If it's a small business, it can happen in a couple of days, but generally I like to be very thorough, not just I'll focus on what is actually happening with the product or service, or it could be farming, it could be growing something, going and seeing and talking to the folks that actually accomplish the work. And what are the challenges they have to increasing or doubling? Again, my focus really is in doubling. My goals are to provide a 3x return on investment. So if you're spending for every $10,000 you spend with Start with the Answer, we're going to drive $30,000 in annual return on that investment. And then after the second year, that you're getting that in perpetuity as long as you maintain the cadence. So that I can't really answer the duration because, like I said, it starts with a diagnostic and talking with ownership and what is it that you want to accomplish?
Yeah.
And then we find it. I believe that anything is possible. Elon Musk is going to Mars. We've gone to Mars. Most manufacturing is not that complicated. So, with the right plan and the right resources, I believe we can accomplish anything. And when you find smaller businesses where an owner is leading it, it's constrained by what they know and what they can accomplish. And I basically, I try to supercharge that for them.
Got it. When you think of scalability around a particular offer, it sounds like you can only take on a few clients at a time. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, at this point in time, I'm a sole founder and I'm the primary client. I do have a network of another larger firm. They have about 30 consultants that do what I do. They bring me in and I bring them in. So it really just depends on how much work that I have. I can handle more than a couple at a time,
Okay,
but three is really because I like to be very hands-on. Three is probably about at any given time what my max would
got it. That makes perfect sense. Do you have aspirations to bring on more consultants and to scale it further just beyond yourself?
be. Yeah, and in our industry, in the consulting, process improvement consulting, a lot of the folks like myself, when I work with the other firm, I'm a 1099. It's fairly easy to do. It's not like I'm hiring folks to scale that up, but I have those relationships. I had a call yesterday with a gentleman that I have a lot of respect with. I've worked with him on a couple engagements in the past, and I said, "Hey, I've got some ideas on this next thing coming up. What do you think? Do you have availability?" And he was really excited about the prospect of coming in and helping a client.
Cool. Very cool. Walk me through the back end of the business. So when it comes to acquiring more customers, what does that process currently look like from a lead gen and marketing perspective?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest area of weakness that I have. I'm very good in operations. I'm very good in finance. Those are the two things that I've been educated in, but sales and marketing is my weakness. I'm learning more about it, but LinkedIn and referrals, I'm not somebody that is going to beat you with just cold emails or cold calls. Because what we do is very much, you've got to build that trust. And so I basically, it's a word of mouth referral at this point in time, but I am open, going to be looking towards other methodologies to help bring clients to finding out what it is that their pain points are and getting some calls and that type of thing.
Yeah. Do you have any ideas of what those solutions could potentially look like?
Again, LinkedIn is a great resource. That's helped me some, but I think that social media and LinkedIn is probably the primary driver because you can
Yeah.
build relationships. If you were to look at and again, I'm very proud of not the content that I have on mine, but if you were to look at the referrals or the references that people leave about my work over the
Mm,
last 25 years, I'm very proud of what people have to say. Well, that is a compass to let me know that, hey, I am actually making a difference for folks. They're seeing it and that type of thing. So
yeah.
again, I think that for me, LinkedIn is the big piece. I think that as we move along, and I'm bootstrapping this myself, as I start to grow, I probably will look to bring on some marketing and sales support, at least to get some of those calls started and having
Yeah.
those introductory 30-minute calls to see if there's any meat there, and then
100%.
see where we can go.
Yeah, no, I love that. So it sounds like right now you're looking to really get more predictability and consistency when it comes to lead flow, because referrals and word of mouth are the holy grail, but they're not super predictable. They're not super consistent. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. And in my line of work now, it's a feast or famine. You can go 2 months with very little going on, and then all of a sudden you got two or three clients that all are looking for you to come in. As we get closer towards the end of the year, especially when we get into budget season like we are right now, I'm starting to see more activity and I understand what's going on. You've got leadership that might be, and again, it's primarily where there's a PE. So you've got a managing partner that says, hey, I've got a unit that might be underproducing. I'm not delivering the results. I need to put a plan together. And
Yeah.
so I'm getting some calls around how can I put a plan together? I need to go 15, 20% compound annual growth rate on my EBITDA. How do I do that? Can you help me do that? Absolutely, I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you be able to handle hypothetically if you were getting 2 to 3 new clients per month?
Yeah, again, I've got that network of 30 or so folks, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that I can scale to that. I haven't aspired to that. My goals right now is I would love to be in a position where I can say that I've created $10 million in business valuation in the last 12 months for my clients, which basically translates. I use a benchmark on average. A business is worth 4x EBITDA on average. We've got some unicorns that are much higher, and you've got others based on the fact that they might be in a single market or unpredictable volume. They may be a one or a two, but I use
Yeah.
four. So I'm really looking to look back and say, yeah, I've generated and helped my clients increase profitability, EBITDA by $2.5 million this year
Got it. And then that would result in a $10 million valuation because it would be
on
four
average.
multiple. Yeah, that makes
Absolutely. Yeah.
perfect sense.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the owners that I'm working with in these, they really don't have they don't have a succession plan or they don't even really focus. They're focusing on getting that next order out or they're focused on winning that next client or that next order. And they get to be 65, 70 years old. And the next thing you know, they're like, what happens if my kids don't want it? What am I going to do? I spent my whole life doing this. And that's another piece of the puzzle for us is we operate as a exit planning advisor. That's one of the other pieces. I don't focus on it, but it
Mm,
is something that we have where we can say, hey, what are you doing? Do you have a plan? Because if you want to sell your business, it takes time. And if you want to increase the value of your business, it takes time. But I generally say that I am very confident that I can help any client 3x the valuation, or I'm sorry, double their valuation in 36 months. That's been my average cadence is about 30%
mm,
year over year improvement in valuation. So again, you got to start with and you got to have a plan, but that's the start and we
yeah.
get there.
Yeah. I love that vision where it's very client centric and client focused. Aside from that, for more personal things and professional things that you personally want to accomplish, what does that look like over the next 12 months?
Yeah, I would love to. Again, it's really client focused from a revenue standpoint. The dollars come from, as I said, drive towards 3x return on investment or greater. You can backwards do the math on what that looks like and what our billing, our day rate billing looks like. But we're really wanting to look back and say, I made a difference. That business was struggling. They were just trying to decide whether they were going to make it or not. And then I come in. A big piece, another highlight of what I do is gain sharing programs. I find that is the biggest lever that owners have. So not only am I increasing the valuation for the owner, but I'm also putting more money in the bank for the folks that are actually working in the business by showing them
Mm,
ways to do it. Because if you're measuring folks the right way and you're incentivizing them the right way, or an effective, I say the right, there's many right ways, but an effective way, you're going to end up with supercharging. I use that word supercharge because you've got this 2 liter engine, but you supercharge it, it goes from 100 horsepower to 500 horsepower. That's really the power in, I call it aligning the greed, a little bit in tongue in cheek. But if you can align the greed within the business for every stakeholder, every employee, every owner, every shareholder, and everybody's pulling in the same direction, you can really accomplish things you never thought were possible. So
I love that. What do you feel, or what does your current sales process look like? So when it comes to a lead comes in, what are the different steps that they go through for them to become a client?
yeah, so it starts with an introductory call, and we talk about what is it that they need, what are they trying to accomplish, what are the risks that they see. A lot of times folks are very apprehensive because they're looking at me as a fixed cost or a cost to their bottom line. Saying, and again, I think that's our culture, our business climate within the US is that we're trying to account for the dollars that we're spending and not really focusing on how can I get more out the
Mm,
door. And so a lot of times it's really having those conversations. And then once we get comfortable with each other and that it makes sense, their goals are, they have clear goals, and we flush those out together. I can come in and do that diagnostic with them, or we're going to spend a week or so looking at their books, looking at how their process works, looking at their backlog, the process flow, challenges that they have. Sometimes we uncover quality problems, but those are fairly rare. It's really mostly about getting everybody to focus on, hey, I want to go from 100 widgets a day to 200 widgets a day. How do I do that? If you can do that, you're definitely going to have more than 30% increase in your EBITDA, I would say, unless your labor and your raw material costs are extremely high, you're probably
mhm.
going to be able to accomplish.
Yeah. I'm curious, what do you feel is the biggest challenge you're facing to scaling this even further?
Yeah, again, it's having folks having those conversations and
Mm,
getting that awareness about what Start with the Answer does, how we can help them, and then going from there and again, having those conversations. The
yeah.
diagnostic, like I said, I can't really speak much past that. I do some coaching. So if a client were to say, you know what, I'd love to talk to you a day for a couple hours a week, I can certainly do that. We're not going to get into the level of granularity that you can get in with a diagnostic. And then again, from there, if I provide the roadmap, then you can decide, do you want me to help you implement that roadmap? Or you want me to hand it off to your team, or is it a hybrid approach where I'm mentoring your team to do it? So it's again, it's hard to say exactly what an owner wants, but bringing in and having those conversations is the first step.
So more visibility, more, I guess, qualified lead generation, marketing, and making sure
Absolutely,
you're having the right conversations with the right people.
absolutely, yeah.
Got it. What advice would you give to new entrepreneurs that are starting in 2025? And I guess you started this year in January.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give yourself if you could go back in time and talk to yourself in January? Something maybe you didn't know then, but you know now. What do you think that would be?
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of ahas for me. I knew it was going to be slow. I think you have to have reasonable expectations. I've gotten to a point in my life where my kids are grown. They've all are out on their own, and it's my wife and I, and we're able to grow with this. And so as it goes, I'm not desperate for a client at this point in time. I really want to make sure that I'm having an impact, but from the perspective, you just have to have good, reasonable expectations. The other piece, when you're trying to grow and scale a business, it's very difficult to do it by yourself. I am the sole consultant right now with Start with the Answer, but I've surrounded myself with folks that are in this business and I have those conversations with them and really, hey, I sent a text earlier today to a CEO of a larger firm. They do probably 30 times more volume than what I'm doing right now.
Mm,
And I said, hey, how do you handle this? And he got right back to me. So yeah, it's really having those conversations or having somebody that can understand where you're at and have those things
yeah.
because there's a lot that comes at you. I wouldn't say that I'm discouraged at times, but there's just a lot of, okay, am I being effective? Is this the right way to go? Should I do a mass mailing just to try to get folks to start calling me? Or do I just stay the course and try to build those relationships? That's where I'm at
Mm.
this point.
What keeps you going during those difficult moments?
Again, knowing that over the last 34 years, every business that I've worked for, they're still in business. And I'm very proud of that fact. Every business is stronger after my work. So I know that I've got a lot to offer. And it's not because it's me, it's those folks that I've learned from. If you spend a little bit of time talking to me, you understand that I'm a disciple of probably five folks. Ellie Goldratt is my he's had the most impact on me. Back in the 80s, he wrote The Goal. And so that's a manufacturing business novel that's very popular within manufacturing circles. And it's based on he coined the theory of constraints. So that's identifying what one thing within your business is holding you back. And then you have the 5 focusing steps and you go. Covey is another one that I've learned a lot with. Start with the answer. Actually, one of the 7 habits that Covey talks about is begin with the end in mind. And so
Yeah.
start with the answer is really just an extension of that. When Taiichi Ono, father of the Toyota production system and lean manufacturing, those are probably my top 3 that I've learned from. And just like a sponge when it comes to that, I have a problem I need to solve. How do I do it? How do I figure that out?
Yeah, I love that. What is the best way for people to reach out to work with you?
I would say either email or start with LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way. I'm in process with my website at this point. It's going slow. I want to make sure that when I get that together, as it represents well. But I think that my LinkedIn profile, right now, make sure we answer you that way. Send me a message or my phone number is listed there. Give me a call or shoot me a text and talk. I am going to be looking to getting some of the tools. I think you guys use Calendly to schedule meetings. Maybe I'm looking to try to do some of that as I move forward from being able to schedule those calls and have folks schedule those and manage those meetings.
100%. Yeah, we use OneHub, but Calendly is great.
Okay.
It's great as well. You cut out when you were saying how people can reach you. Is LinkedIn the best way?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best way going on. Startwiththeanswer.com is a website that's there. It has my phone number,
Okay,
um,
got it.
but it's totally in process. It's basically just a landing page at this point. I'm in process with a team to try to get that looking well,
Nice.
so that it can represent very well.
Perfect. Brian, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely, Amar. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. So
Thank you.
that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go to startwiththeanswer.com. Brian's phone number is on there. And you can also reach him on LinkedIn, Brian Waild, Waild. We'll also link it around here somewhere, so it'll be pretty easy to find. And if you are a business owner, and you're looking to scale your business and you want to understand the blueprint that took us from 0 to $30 million in 26 months and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing. Boom.